McAllen. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, Nick.
Good afternoon.
I'm going to go right into the exhibit we were looking at because I think it really helps to sort of follow along with that. Exhibit 316. Now, I'm blocking some of your views over there, aren't I? I'm going to just kind of push forward. Does that help? Can everyone over there see? Okay. Okay. If we could go back to the courtyard, please. Thanks. Okay, so can you, from this vantage, can you see your unit?
No.
Okay. Now do you see your unit?
Yes.
Okay, can you use that laser pointer and point out your unit? Right there. Okay. And you were in that unit, and you saw Colin and, was it Zach Volpo?
Yes.
And they were horsing around?
Yeah. Yes.
And they leave out that door into the courtyard area, right?
That's correct.
And you follow behind them?
Yes.
Now, if we could spin that view around, please, towards the parking lot. And I think you said before that's the table that you guys were near when you came out of your unit?
That's correct.
Okay. And on the other side of that wrought iron gate, is that where the initial confrontation started between these people that you guys didn't want there?
It was around the gate.
Around the gate?
Around the gate near the table. I couldn't tell you.
Now, at the point of that start of the confrontation there at the gate, you and Zach and Colin are there in the courtyard, right?
Yes.
Who else is there?
Michael Mullen, Nick Peering, and the other group of folks.
Prado's not there yet?
I don't remember seeing Prado until we were near Mountain View.
So at that point, it's Colin Brew, Michael Mullen, Nick Peering, Zach Volpo, and yourself?
Yes.
Now, are all five of you grouped together near the gate?
I'm not sure.
But all five of you were there in the courtyard confronting these other people?
Yes.
Now, was there any pushing or punching at this point?
No.
These other guys, how many of them were there?
Around 4.
Around 4. And they start backing up from that gate into the parking lot there?
That's correct.
And the 5 of you follow them?
Yes.
Okay. If we could go to that parking lot view now, please. Okay. So this is the parking lot that they backed up into and the 5 of you followed them to?
Yes.
At this point, are the 5 of you grouped together?
I'd say most likely.
So you weren't hanging back at this point?
No, I didn't hang back until we started crossing the street.
Okay, so the 5 of you are still grouped together.
Yeah.
They're still backing up and you're still pursuing them.
That's correct.
Then they head across that alleyway and into Franklin Street?
That's correct.
And do all 5 of you follow them into Franklin Street?
Yes.
Does anyone else that you know show up?
Not until, I didn't see everybody until the scene happened.
Okay. So now you guys are all on the street. You and Zach are still standing there with Mike Mullen, Colin Brew, and Nick Peering.
Yeah.
And all of you were in the street with these other guys.
Actually, I'm sorry. Me and Zach were still a little bit back when we were crossing the street.
Okay, go ahead and use your pointer and show where you and Zach were.
Right around there.
Near that tree?
Right where the road starts, right there.
So were you on the curb? Or?
We were basically on the sidewalk.
Okay, so the two of you are now hanging back a little bit on the sidewalk, and Colin Brew, Michael Mullen, and Nick Peering are still pursuing these other guys into the street?
That's correct.
Now, did you ever divert your attention from what was occurring on the street?
No.
You didn't see any punching or shoving on the street?
Not on the street.
You didn't see anyone start running from the street?
No.
You see anyone else at that point that you knew show up?
No.
So now I take it that the individuals keep backing up down that long sidewalk there on Mountain View?
Yeah, they were walking backwards up it.
Okay, if we can go to that view, please. Okay, so this is where they continued backing up, down that sidewalk?
On the sidewalk, or on the driveway.
Okay, so now they've backed up onto the driveway. Right?
Okay, yes.
And where are you and Zach?
Well, when the group's right here, me and Zach were still around there, and me and Zach didn't end up advancing here until the guys ended up getting further up the driveway.
Okay, so we'll take it step by step. So you're about where we see that yellow triangle still, right?
Yes.
And everyone else is onto this driveway and sidewalk?
Yes.
Okay. And now Zach has advanced over there as well?
Zach's still with me.
He's still with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Has anyone else shown up besides Michael Mullen, Colin Brew, and Nick Peering?
Couldn't tell you.
Okay. It's possible you just don't recall?
Not sure.
Okay. So these guys continue backing down Mountain View Drive, and your friends continue to pursue them?
Yes.
If we can just swing this view around.
To the right?
Yeah, towards Mountain View. Yeah, down that way, that's good. So that's the walkway that these guys walked down and your friends pursued them?
Yes.
You mentioned that Zach Volpo eventually walked forward from where you were and joined the rest of them?
I never said that.
Okay, well, let's clarify that. Did Zach stay with you the whole time?
Yes.
Okay, so you were still across the street at the driveway area of the courtyard parking lot?
Excuse me?
Where are you when everyone else starts walking down this walkway?
Near the opening gates of the driveway.
Okay, so now you and Zach have crossed Franklin Street as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So, from the vantage that we see here, you and Zach are basically standing where this camera would have been, right? If we can swing it around to show the gates that he's referring to, please. Oh, you're actually a little bit further back, right?
Yeah, we're right around there.
Okay, you and Zach have now crossed the street, and all your other friends are further down that sidewalk pursuing these guys.
That's correct.
And then, did you ever get any closer than that before any shots were fired?
No.
Did Zach get any closer than that before shots were fired?
No.
Now, at some point, Nick Prado arrives on the scene, right?
That's correct.
Do you recall when you first saw him?
No.
Okay. But clearly you saw him throw a punch on that sidewalk, right?
That's what I believe.
And that was before any shooting, right?
Before, yes.
Now, when you were moving from where we started at your doorstep all the way to where you are now at the gates, was there ever a moment at which you ran and charged anyone?
No.
Along this sidewalk, was there ever a moment in which you ran and charged someone?
No.
When the shooting happened, you were still standing in this position that you've described for us?
Yes.
And only after the shooting did you run up to start helping your friend Colin, right?
Yes.
Now, when the shooting occurred, was Zach Vopel still standing with you?
I couldn't tell you.
At what point did you lose track of Zach Vopel?
When I ran to help Colin.
So you don't know if he ran with you or stayed behind or what he did?
No.
From the point of the shooting on, you've lost track of Zach Vopel?
Yes.
Now, this whole scene that you've described from your doorstep all the way until the shooting, is it fair to say this was not a friendly verbal exchange?
It was a verbal skirmish, people just going back and forth.
But it wasn't friendly, was it?
No.
Okay. Did you make out any specific words that anyone actually said to each other?
No, just profanities.
So you can't say what was said, but you know that it was not friendly and people were swearing at each other?
Yes.
Have a moment, Your Honor. Did you ever yell at any of these guys?
No.
Okay. Now, when I say ever, there were words exchanged after the shooting. I'm
Yes.
referring to before shooting.
Before the shooting, no.
You didn't have words with anyone?
I didn't say anything.
Zach was standing by you pretty much the whole time until the shooting, right?
Yes.
Did he say anything?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Redirect.
Briefly, Judge, thank you. Counsel used the word pursuing. Makes me want to clarify, was this walking or running the groups?
Walking.
Okay. And still yelling insults each way?
Yes. Back and forth.
When counsel asked you about Mr. Nick Prado, you said, "That's what I believe." Do you have some hesitation or memory issue around that?
I'm pretty sure it was Nick Prado that threw a punch.
Okay. How far away would you say you were from that?
Judging the distance from the gate to that, to the ramp, 20 feet.
Okay. So that was well closer to you on the parking lot, I mean, on that driveway than where the ultimate shooting took place?
Was it closer? It was probably equidistant.
Okay, so you think it was right up around the area where the shooting took place?
Excuse me?
Where you're saying that Nick Prado punched somebody, you think that was as far up the sidewalk as the shooting was from you?
Yes, yes.
You think that was 20 feet?
Yes.
Nothing further, Judge. Thank you.
I'll turn to members of our jury and see if they have any questions for this witness. Looks like we do. I'll see counsel and the court reporters sidebar. All right, so the jurors do have some questions for you. Excuse me, the first question is, what made you stay back and why did you stop progressing with the group?
Because I wasn't in the mood to get in a fight that night, and it didn't seem serious. And me and Zach were just kind of just watching it. Yeah.
Did you see Nick Prado punch someone you recognized?
I couldn't tell you who he punched.
Was the defendant in that group when the punch was thrown at the time?
I'm not sure.
Follow up, Mr. Shea.
Just, no. Thank you, Judge.
Mr. McGowan.
How much time went by between that punch and when you first noticed the shooter coming up from the parking lot?
45 seconds to a minute.
Okay, so there was some time there.
There was some time.
Okay. So you can't say whether the person you saw coming from the parking lot was there when Prado threw that punch?
I couldn't say that.
Okay, no further question.
Can this witness be excused?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Acevedo. Have a seat. You're excused. Thank you. Counsel, all approach, please. For the weekend. Thank you all for all your hard work today. Remember that we do not have trial on Tuesday and Wednesday. We will reconvene next Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Okay? So please remember the admonition and have a good weekend.
Mike Mullen, he's been interviewed both by the police and by the defense during the preparation of the case. He, at least at the time of the incident, was roommates with Mr. Peering, who is an alleged victim, and Mr. Brew, the deceased. The state has not apparently made the decision to call Mr. Mullen. The defense intends to do that. The concern we have, of course, is that his last known address to us is the courtyard, which is also the last known address of Mr. Peering. And I just would like perhaps some guidance from the court, or perhaps maybe talk about how we're going to be able to exercise Mr. Jones' right to compel attendance of witnesses while still not running afoul of victims' rights as it relates to having any inadvertent contact with that patient.
Well, Mr. Mullen isn't a victim, is he?
No, Judge, we'd be happy to help. We've had contact with Mr. Mullen.
Okay.
We do not intend on calling him because we've interviewed him and he indicated he didn't see anything. So if the defense would like to call him, we'll definitely help with that.
Okay, good.
The other issue, Your Honor, is the court, as you recall, issued some orders with regard to the production of certain emails. Since the court issued that order, I did receive from the state a copy of an invoice from Mr. Bevel, notwithstanding that at the time of the hearing we were advised that there was no invoice, and there was a reference in the email forwarding the invoice to us that counsel for the state came across the invoice while reviewing emails from the prosecution's former legal assistant. but we still have yet to receive any of the emails pursuant to the court's order or an identification from Mr. Bevel as to the 280 photographs that were pulled out during his work on the case.
Mr. Barker?
Thank you. Sorry, I may have missed the last part. The 280 photos referenced or something else?
Please repeat it. I can't.
I haven't received the emails court ordered, and I haven't received a list of the 280 photographs that were pulled out by Mr. Bevel as the court ordered.
Okay. We emailed Tom Bevel immediately after that hearing. I copied Burgess on it. He can, I'm sure, affirm that. Asking for those 280 photos. We received a response from Mr. Bevel that he was going to look into that. I said we don't need the actual photos, just the file numbers or names. He indicated that he was going to put on a disc and mail it. I haven't received it yet. We're going to look back at the office. I'll follow up with Mr. Bevel again on that. As to the emails, I don't recall the court ordering that we provide every email, but that we review them as to the questions the defense had. So we did review them, we investigated them, we had our IT specialists go through and identify all the emails that were exchanged. Most of them are not related to this case at all, but to another case that I tried, Jacobson, Safety Jacobson, another division. And I believe we filed a notice with the court regarding that investigation. So there's nothing else to provide at this point.
All right.
Well, I think the court gave a rather expansive order directing the state to produce all emails related to this case, either received by or initiated by the prosecution and Mr. Bevel.
And as I understand it, Mr. Parker, you looked back through all of the emails and you disclosed all of the emails associated with this case between yourself, between other people, and Mr. Bevel. Is that right?
We have not disclosed every email between all the parties. What we disclosed were the related to the questions the defense asked. Now, if the court wants us to disclose every email, we'll be happy to. I can tell the court there's nothing there and we're not hiding anything. We'll be happy to disclose those emails. Again, we're not calling Mr. Bevel in our case in chief, potentially in a rebuttal situation. But it was just my understanding that we were only looking for the specific questions and answers that the defense referred to in their motion. But if it's something more than that, we'll accommodate.
Judge, the court couldn't have been clear that it was to be everything. I think the court even used an expression along the lines of putting all the cards on the table or something to that effect. The email that Mr. Parker just referred to that was disclosed was provided to us prior to the hearing we had when Your Honor made that order. So we have not received anything since then vis-a-vis any email correspondence between the state and Mr. Bevel regarding this case. Zero, nothing.
I'm not trying to borrow trouble, Judge, to borrow a phrase.
It's near and dear to my heart.
Listen, we're trying to be cooperative. I don't know what the contention is, but we'll certainly do whatever the court thinks is appropriate.
Well, if you've got the emails between your office, any investigating agency, and Mr. Bevel, disclose those emails.
That'd be fine.
Okay. Will that satisfy your request?
It does, Your Honor, I believe, but the court is ordering what it previously ordered. So that's the record.
All right.
The second time the court ordered it.
The 280, Mr. Bevel needs to, here's the thing. Mr. Bevel needs to disclose those well in advance of his possibility of testifying as a rebuttal. If he doesn't, then I would probably allow him to testify, but not testify as to those 280 slides that he used because of a failure to disclose those specific slides.
Sure. That
Okay.
actually doesn't help me, Judge. I needed those to prepare my cross-examination. I just want to make sure that it's clear that the sanction is not going to be limited to Mr. Bevel not being able to testify about those photos if they aren't timely disclosed.
If they're not timely disclosed, then he won't be able to testify to them because of the lack of the disclosure on them.
Understood.
But what I'm saying is I don't know that he didn't use 1,000 other photos. Okay, it's just if he has specific opinions related to related to those 280 photos, and he bases any opinions on those 280 photos. If those 280 photos are not disclosed, then I'm not going to allow him to express his opinion on them. Right? But I'm not foreclosing him being able to talk about, whatever else might be out there. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. All right. Y'all have a good weekend.
Thank you.